Today is going to be episode 5 of the 18650 cold climate test. And yes, we're still not testing quite yet. We're still in the build process video. Alright, so before we get into all the spot welding, I was going to fill you in on a super secret Squirrel project I was working on. I know, I work on a lot of projects, but that's what happens when you're a DIY person and stuff. You're always busy and you're broke. Anyway, the plan was to get this all done and ready before I started spot welding, but it didn't quite go as planned. So a few months ago, before I started watching a lot of the spot welding stuff, I thought, man, it sucks that we still have to solder. Yes, I say solder. Still sucks that we have to solder to the bus bars. So I thought, why the hell can't we just electroplate the bus bars so we can just get rid of soldering and spot weld directly to the bus bars? Well, I attempted that, and it didn't go very well. So just like any other DIY person, you watch as many YouTube videos as you possibly can. You're all excited, you're trying stuff, and for me, it just didn't work. So what all these YouTubers tell you to do is go on eBay and buy a pure nickel anode. So that's what I did. I bought a 1x6" pure nickel anode, and once I got that, I just cut it in half so I had 2 nickel anodes. And what the YouTubers tell you to do next is to make a nickel acetate or nickel solution. And how to do that is you take some distilled white vinegar and some salt, pour it in a container, hook up a 5-volt phone charger, the positive on one nickel strip and the negative on the other nickel strip, put it in the solution and basically let it dissolve until the mixture turns like a greenish color. And since I'm using a phone charger, there's not much power to it. They tell you to use low voltage, low amperage. Anyway, I let it dissolve for about 3 days, and it came out to look just roughly like this right here. Then the very next step the YouTubers have you do is whatever part you want to be electroplated, you hook up the negative from the phone charger to that, and you just leave the positive side hooked up to the nickel anode in the solution and plug it in, and then it starts electroplating, which is true. That's exactly what happened. But for me, of course, it didn't work out that great. The first piece that I did, they tell you to put it in for like a super small amount of time. So I did that, and I was like, there's like nothing on here. So naturally, I stick it back in the solution and let it go longer. I don't remember exactly how long I put this piece of copper wire in there, but it's basically a 14 gauge piece of wire. The size doesn't really matter. I put this in there for, it could have been like an hour or something like that. And it looks like a pretty good coat on there, but it's really, really thin. Of course, I tried to spot weld to it and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't happen. So I figured, why not try an actual bus bar? So of course, I got a bigger container, did the whole thing, but the only thing with a bigger container and the 2 little nickel anodes that are like that long, you basically can't get a good coating over the whole bus bar because the bus bar is, like this big and the anodes are only like this big. So in order to get a good coat, you either had to move the bus bar around or move the anodes around. So my attempt did not work very well. I got good spots and I got spots that weren't covered very good. I don't know, it just didn't work very well, and it was just taking forever. And most of these people are saying, you only do it for like 15 minutes, or you watch other videos and they get this beautiful nickel coat in like 3 minutes, and I'm like, obviously I am, I just spit. Obviously I am, because it didn't work out that great. So anyway, after like 45 minutes of me jacking around with this, trying to move the anodes around, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just gonna let them sit there to see how good or how thick of a coat I can get on the actual bus bar, and maybe I can get a spot weld after that. Now that didn't work out very good either. I understand why this one worked out, because I wanted to find out if I could do like the bare minimum, make a bus bar real quick and then throw it in the solution, see if it would work. And it didn't really work out that well. I'm guessing it didn't work out that well because I didn't prepare the copper properly. I didn't have enough nickel anode to, kind of evenly coat the entire surface. All sorts of problems. I'm not gonna give up though, because I know this will work. It better work, damn it. So what I ended up doing is I went back on eBay and found another supplier that has like these nickel chips, I think that's what he called them. Anyway, you can buy a whole pound of these nickel chips for like 14 bucks or something like that. So the plan is to get a whole bunch of these little nickel chips and kind of of surround the outer part of the container, then put the bus bar right in the middle. That way I can get kind of an even coat all the way around the whole bus bar, hopefully. Of course, the next bus bar or the next piece I try, I'll do a little bit more preparation, and hopefully that will take care of the problem. And another thing I wasn't quite sure of, if there was a difference between a pure nickel anode or, you know, the nickel strip that you can get for all the batteries and stuff. I don't know if there's a difference in that. I probably could have tried it, but I just didn't. Just in case any of you guys have done nickel coating or other coating, or I should say electroplating, if you have any tips or anything like that, leave the comments down below, or maybe go onto the About Me section and send me an email. I would imagine somebody has a hell of a lot more information about nickel coating or electroplating than I do. Okay, so the plan, like I said, was to nickel coat all these bus bars and then just whip them out and start spot welding to everything and make a solderless design, but it didn't really work out like that. So if you take a look, roughly in these spots right here is where I hit it the first time around, and that was on level 10, and it's just popping it right off. So I tried lower settings. I think that was one right there. I tried on level 5 right there, and that kind of blew off the layer as well. So then I went a little bit lower. Now here's level 3. It did seem to, I guess, spot weld better, but it didn't spot weld to the actual nickel. It might just be part of the layering that I have to work on, so I guess I'll keep working on that. I haven't given up yet. I've got the nickel chips. Nickel chips, that just sounds funny. Got the nickel chips in the mail. They should be here any day now. Alright, so that is my other super secret. Well, I don't have any other super secret squirrel projects. That was the only one. But I wanted to let you guys know, just in case anybody else is interested in electroplating, maybe give it a try and see what you guys come up with. And if you get it to work, let me know. And I'll also leave a link down to the nickel stuff that I got. The first link will be the 1x6. It works just fine. It's probably more for a hobby type person, you know, if you want to coat pennies or, you know, shell casings or something like that. You know, it would probably work just fine for that. But for something bigger like what I'm trying to do, you'll probably want to use bigger pieces of nickel, or more of them, I would imagine. I don't know. I will let you guys know on my progress whenever the progress happens. Alright, that's pretty much all I have on this. Let's get to the actual spot welding. And no, I haven't thought of a good name yet, but what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take maybe 3 or 4 of the best names that I thought were in the comment section, and maybe do like a poll on the little community section on my channel. Then you guys can vote on the name. How about that? Alright, this video we are going to be spot welding as much as we possibly can with the DIY Arduino spot welder that I did just a few weeks ago. And we're going to continue using the LiPo battery packs that Tom sent out also a few, well, it's been like a good month or so. Again, thank you very much, Tom, for these cells. So far, they're awesome, even though I've only done spot welding with them. But I've got all sorts of tests planned for these. Yeah, if anybody does need any of these, I do have a link down below. I've got a link to Tom's store, and the other is basically to Tom's store on eBay. But if you use Tom's store, I get just a little bit more of like an affiliate kickback. So that's why both links are there, if anybody wanted some of these. And I haven't charged these up on purpose because I want to see how many spot welds I can actually do. So before we start, we'll do a voltage test. I'm also going to be attempting to spot weld the 1 amp axial glass fuses. Now I got these from Keith. Everybody should know Keith. He does all the heat shrinks, he does fuses, he does all kinds of stuff. These pop at 2 amps from my testing. If anybody hasn't seen my previous test videos, then good luck searching through all the videos, but they're there. Yeah, we're going to be attempting to spot weld these on the positive side, and for the negative side I chose 24 nickel coated copper. Now the reason I use 24 gauge, there's not a real reason. Basically I use 24 gauge on my Powerwall. I just figured I would just continue using 24 gauge. For this one, since we're going to be spot welding, I got the nickel coated 24 gauge copper wire. And again, if anybody needs something like this, not for the positive side, for the negative side only. This is way too thick for the positive side, unless you're doing like some really high amp something. I don't even know what this pops at, so don't use it. And what we can't spot weld, I will be using my Hakko Haku, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, 926 ESD. It is older than dirt. Well, it's not really older than dirt, but it's pretty old and it works awesome. I think it's only like a 60 watt iron. Yes, you should use a probably 100 watt minimum. I don't have anything like that, and this one works pretty damn good. It heats up fast and it holds the heat really well. All right, so I'm probably not going to be doing much talking during the rest of this video, so I can get this done as fast as I possibly can. Oh, and I get to use my new solder fume extractor. Let's get to it.
Forgot to check the battery voltage. Alright, we are at 12.16.
Alright, so actually I don't know what I did wrong or whatever there, so I'm going to disconnect this cell and then I guess throw it outside because I don't want it to explode. I just felt it. It's not warm or anything like that, but it is oozing.
Now I'm gonna go run this out real quick, and yeah, it's not hot or anything like that. Not hot.
Yeah, so the milliamp hour on that one was 1586, so I'll have to find another one kind of close to that, but I'll do that a little bit later. I'll just continue on with what we were doing. Alrighty, spot welding is done. Alright, so this video, I know last video I said I could knock these videos out quick, and of course, every freaking time I say that, we get busy at work, I get appointments, blah blah blah. That's pretty much what happened, is we got a little busy at work, you know, get a little worn out, and during one of the lunch breaks, I was having something that had a little bit of rice in it. I demolished a tooth in the back, the farthest one back. The inside or the top piece just disappeared. Yes, and I swallowed it. So I had a couple of dentist appointments to take care of that problem. I still have one left, and that's to get the actual crown. Anyway, since this was the very first time trying to spot weld fuses, you know, it took a few extra tries to get it figured out. Kind of reminds me like back in high school, the very first time things get a little awkward. Anyway, you know what I mean. The very first pack was a little messy, you know, trying to figure out exactly how the spot welding goes, what settings to use. From that very first pack, what I found out is the ones that actually explode or make a crap ton of sparks is basically like one of three things. First one is you don't have enough pressure on the fuse leg. Second one, well, actually it's only probably two things. And the second one is either the fuse or the cell is not like perfectly clean. The surface isn't clean enough to make a good contact between the probe, the fuse, and the cell. So if those aren't good or you don't have enough pressure, that's when the explosion happens. But once you figure out the rhythm, the settings, everything goes pretty smoothly after that. And I think the best setting that I found using my setup, basically the Arduino spot welder and my batteries, you know, the wires, the probes, my whole setup. Basically, I kind of stuck with level, I like to call it level 2, but I think it's just milliseconds. So for my setup, level 2 was great for the fuses. You can go higher than that, but like I said, if the surface isn't clean or you don't have enough pressure, the sparks get bigger and the pop gets louder. So I just kind of stuck with level 2. And for the 24 gauge nickel coated copper wire, I used mostly level 7. I probably could have gone higher, but again, if I didn't have enough pressure or if I was on the edge of like a previous spot weld tab, occasionally you can get the loud sparks from that. Now I will say the first 2 packs that I did for the negative side, I did end up doing like 2 or 3 spot welds just because I really didn't have a good reason. And then the next 2 packs, I just did 1 spot weld per cell. Like I said, first time soldering the fuses and the nickel coated copper wire. Now the battery voltage, I don't remember what I said when it started. It could have been like 12.17, and then I put the Harbor Freight meter on there, which was way off, but I only did it just so you guys could kind of see the voltage drop as I was spot welding. I think it started at what, 12.17-ish or something like that. And again, that was from the build video. I didn't charge it or anything like that. I wanted to basically find out how many spot welds I could do with a 3S 2P LiPo battery pack that I built. And I think we did a little over 200 welds in that video. And what we ended up with after all of these spot welds was 11.77. Now I will say, for me taking a break and setting up the camera after I was done, you know, that's the rise in the voltage. So it could have been just a little bit lower, but 11.77 is damn good, which is great because guess how many spot welds we did in this video. Now this is going to be a rough estimate. Of course, I didn't count them or anything like that. I actually wrote this part down so I didn't have to look like a complete idiot. Alright, so this is going to be the rough maths. 88 times 4 is 352. That's just for the negative side. Now like I said, for the first 2 packs, some of them I did do 2 or 3 spot welds when I really didn't need to. So we're going to say 176. And that's just adding 2 more spot welds for 2 packs. So 352 plus 176 is 528 spot welds. That's just for the negative side only. Alright, so the positive side, again, 88 cells, that's 352 spot welds. And of course, you know, a couple random ones that I kind of blew up or didn't have it quite perfect or whatever. We'll just say I did like an extra 10 or 12 spot welds on the top side. Oh, and of course the 2 cells that I changed, if you want to get technical, but we're not going to get too technical for that. So to add all of these up, including the build video, which was over 200 or so welds, I did over 1,080 spot welds on one single charge of that battery, basically from that build video. And the battery voltage is only at 11.77, so there is a crap ton of spot welding I can do left. That's pretty damn amazing. These batteries are pretty badass. Alright, so like I just said, I did end up replacing 2 cells. The first one, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I don't know if I just hit a weak spot on a cell. I'm not exactly sure, but I did poke a hole through it and it started oozing. So I took that cell out, not very quickly, kind of slow. I didn't deem it extremely dangerous at the time, basically because it wasn't hot. If it was hot, I probably would have brought the whole pack outside and then ripped it out. But anyway, yeah, I ripped it out, took it outside, found a replacement battery that was like damn near the same in milliamp hours out of my batteries I use for my camera. Threw that in real quick and then continued on. Now the second one was a self-discharger, and the way I found that out is as soon as I put the fuse on the bus bar and the cell, it popped immediately. It just flashed and done. I know you're gonna say, did I check all the voltages of the cells before I put them on there? No, actually I didn't, because I pretty much made the whole pack right after I was done doing all the capacity tests anyway, so I didn't even think about it. And here's Horace. Okay, tail down, tail down. Hey buddy. I actually changed that one in a live stream and I called it the stalker cam. That might be something I may or may not do. Basically just turn on a camera whenever I come down here while I'm making a video or tooling around doing something. I might just turn on a camera for a live stream and call it the stalker cam or the creeper cam. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, I did it on the live stream. Oh, I want to call it a creeper cam now. Anyway, I did it on the live stream stalker cam. I don't know. What do you guys think? Stalker cam? Creeper cam? Good idea? Bad idea? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We'll see, right? Alright, so the next video I am going to probably start after I'm done recording this tonight, which will be capacity testing with the antimatter, basically because it's probably going to take a couple of days, and I'll probably end up doing like a time lapse or something on it, you know, like I did with Pack 14, just for the hell of it. Each one's going to take over 12 hours to discharge, so I'd imagine the next video will be pretty quick. It'll just be a couple of time lapses and ta-da! I don't know. We'll figure it out, but that's gonna be the next video, is the capacity testing. We're getting actually close. We might get this outside here pretty damn quick. Alright, well that's pretty much all I got. All the links, like I said before, are gonna be down in the description box below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Hey buddy, wait, that's my shirt, dude. You can hit the notification bell if you want to, just so you know when the next video upload will be. And I'll see you on the next one. If I can hold that right there, it might look better for the camera. I don't know. Probably not. We're gonna be, and what we can't spot welder, I will, is take your whatever you want to be nickel coated, hook that up to the negative terminal. Now the second one was a self-discharger. And subscribe and hit the little notification bell if you're